Hey archery friends, this is Tara. Today I'm going to teach you how to string a bow with a stringer, and then I'm also going to teach you how to string a bow without a stringer. So in case you get to the archery range and you forgot your stringer, I'll teach you a few tips and tricks on how to still get it strung so you can shoot that day. So what you're going to notice on your string is on each end of the string there's going to be two loops. One loop will be bigger than the other. The bigger loop will always go on the top limb. So the reason why is because it's actually going to slide down, and this is where we're going to string and unstring the bow from, is from the top limb all the time. That is why the bottom loop is going to be smaller. It's just going to fit over this limb notch right here. See where the limb tip is, and it's just going to fit right along the groove there. The best option always is to grab a stringer. So when you purchase a stringer, they're only about $10. There's all different kinds. I typically like the ones that have the pockets on them. And this one right here, I believe this is a Cartel. This one is going to have a big pocket, and it's also going to have a small pocket. You are always going to place the big pocket on the bottom limb, the one that has the smaller loop. And the reason why is, like I was just saying, we're never going to string or unstring the bow from the bottom. So you want to actually cover that whole limb tip right there. So see how it's all covered? You don't see the notch, you don't see the string. So that's going to protect it so it doesn't come undone when you're stringing the bow. All right, and then for the top, you're going to use the smaller pocket. It's going to fit right over the limb tip there. So that way you can actually see the notch. So when you string it, the string will come right over top of it. All right, so now we're ready to string the bow. Best way to string it, I tell my archers, go ahead and take your dominant hand, place it on the grip position. And then I also take my dominant leg. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna step on the string. And as you're stepping on the string, all you're gonna do is you're gonna bring that hand holding the bow straight up. And as you're pulling this up, you're going to use your other hand to push away the string all the way over the limb tip. Now, what's really important is when you are stringing and unstringing it, make sure you don't put your fingers under the limb. You always want to keep your hand over the limb, because otherwise when you go to string it, your fingers are going to get caught and it doesn't feel very good. So you want to make sure you just slide your hand on the top part of the limb to string and unstring it, so that way nothing gets caught. All right, and so then the next thing you're going to do once you get that strung is you are going to take the stringer off the top and just check it to make sure it's fitting into the groove. And as you can see, it's in the notch. Let's see here, it's in the notch and it's fitting in the groove, so it's on there nice and safe. And then do a double check down here just to make sure it's still in the notch, sitting in the groove, and there you've strung your bow. So super easy with the bow stringer. Let me go ahead and show you when we unstring it how that's going to look. It's going to be the same thing but backwards. Okay, so all you're going to do is you're going to place that big pocket over the bottom limb, because remember, we never string or unstring from the bottom. That's why we're going to have the small loop down here. The top part of the bow stringer is going to have the smaller pocket, so that way we can see the notch, so we can unstring the bow. And all you're going to do is take your dominant hand, place it on the grip position, take your dominant leg, step on the string, pull with your dominant hand up towards you, and then all you're going to do with your other hand is go ahead and undo the string from the notch and slide it on down the limb, and then you can let the tension back down. And now you've just unstrung your bow. So it's super easy with the bow stringer, all different kinds of bow stringers. So you got to pick out the one that you like, and now when you get to the range, it'll be easy to string and unstring your bow. Okay, so let's say you get to the archery range and you forgot your bow stringer, but you still want to shoot archery. No problem, you can still string it without the bow stringer. So same idea as with the stringer. You have a big loop, small loop. The big loop's going to go over the top limb. We always string and unstring from the top. The small loop's going to go on the bottom limb. All right, and just make sure it's fitting over that notch There, looks good. All right, now to string it, this is the push-pull method. What you're gonna do is you are going to take your shoe, I go on my dominant side, and you're just gonna lift your foot up and place the limb tip underneath your shoe. I would not recommend standing on it, that can twist your limb. You're just gonna use this to kind of guard against there, okay? So it's just gonna fit right up against the bottom of your shoe. Then you're gonna take your dominant hand. That is actually gonna go on the top of your riser. So instead of being down here on your grip, like you use with a bowstringer, you're actually gonna come to the top of the riser. And with your non-dominant hand, you're actually going to place your hand on top of the limb. You don't want to keep your hand under the limb because when you go to string it, your fingers will get caught in the string and it will hurt and it'll get stuck. So you keep your hands on top. So then as you're pulling towards you, so it's going to be a pull and a push. So as you're pulling with your dominant hand, the riser towards you, you're also going to be pushing away on the limb. And you're just going to slide your hand all the way down the limb until the string fits right over the notch. And the first thing you always want to do is check it. That looks good. It's in the notch there. Get on the limb tip. That looks good. Check the bottom one just to make sure it's all fit in there nice and good. Okay. And now you're all ready to go. I always recommend when you're stringing and unstringing not to look right towards what you're stringing, but either look forward or look a little bit away, especially when you first start out shooting, because if you do that and the string slips, it can come back in, the limb can hit you in the face. So always make sure you keep your head away. To unstring it, let me show you real quick how to unstring it here. To unstring it, you're gonna do the same concept. To unstring, you're gonna place your foot under your shoe, keep your foot up. Dominant hand on the top of the riser, non-dominant hand on top of the limb. And you're gonna just place your thumb and your fingers around the limb. So it's not under the string, it's just around the limb. So it's gonna look like this. My hands just kind of go around here, the outside. All right, I'll go this way so you can see. And as I pull and I push at the same time, that string will come loose and you're just gonna undo it from the top notch and come straight back. Okay, get a little closer so you can see. I'm gonna go ahead and string it. So I string it just like that. See how everything stays on the outside? And when you go to unstring it, I'm gonna pull towards me and push away from me. It's gonna loosen everything. I'm just gonna grab the string and undo it. So the next time you go out to the archery range and you forget your bowstringer, this is still gives you a chance to go out and shoot some arrows. Hope that video helps and happy shooting.